Welcome to the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown, New York. I'm Carlos Peña, joined by Lindsay Berra and curator Tom Shieber, and we're talking about the Hall of Fame Connections episode, From the 7 Train to the Big Train. Look, we made a lot of stops along the way, and now we're trying to pull into the station. Can you get us there?
Oh, well, we can start off, and we started with the 7 Train, and really we're starting with Mr. Met. And I understand, Lindsay, you have a story about Mr. Met?
My story's not really about Mr. Met, it's about Mrs. Met. So the real life, I kind of think of her as Mrs. Met, was Joan Payson. She was the owner of the Mets. She was the first female to buy a team with money that was her own. It wasn't inherited or given to her by someone else. And she was, by all accounts, a super fun lady. She owned racehorses. She was at the Kentucky Derby all the time. But anyway, when my grandparents joined the Mets in the 60s, my grandmother spent some time with Joan Payson, and this was her favorite story. They were all out to dinner, the wives, with Mrs. Payson. They got a little tipsy, and one of the wives says, "How come there's a Mr. Met and there's not a Mrs. Met?" And Joan Payson says, "You want a Mrs. Met? I'll get you a Mrs. Met." And a week later, there was a Mrs. Met.
How about that?
I love it. Ask and ye shall receive.
Yeah, making things happen right away.
Get stuff done.
Yeah.
Mrs. Payson, she did.
Impressive. And of course, by the end of the 60s, they got a world championship.
Yep.
So that's a good move, too. Well, one of the stops we had as we moved away from Mr. and Mrs. Met was we got to a lot of home runs. And I want to talk a little bit about home runs.
I love talking home runs.
We've got some cool artifacts here, but I want to start off with this one here. But first, we got to get the gloves on, because you're going to want to handle both of these bats, quite frankly.
We want to touch all the bats. We do.
Yes.
So the bat that's behind here that I'm going to pick up and hand you, Carlos, is one of the bats that Babe Ruth used in 1927 when he hit 60 home runs in a season, a record that eventually was broken by Roger Maris in 1961. But in 1927, he used this bat, and he hit, well, you know what? Actually, instead of telling you what happened, actually, Carlos, if you can read this label, there's a label that's on the bat. We didn't put it on there. We would never have harmed that bat this way. But it came to us this way. Actually, the Ruths put the label on there, and it's very fun. And why don't you read what it says on there?
This is so cool. It says 28 notches. Each notch on this war club of the Babes represents one apple knocked out of the ball orchard, George Babe Ruth. So every home run he hit, he was marking it?
Yeah.
Because I see all these marks right here.
Yeah, so around the center brand of the Louisville Slugger, every time he hit a home run, he'd put a notch in his bat.
Wait. Like, what do you mean? Like he had 28 home runs with this same bat?
Yeah.
With that one bat.
How is that even possible? Like he never got one off the handle or something? That's how good he was.
It's possible if you're Babe Ruth, right?
I don't care how hard, how slow you throw. To be able to hit 28 home runs with the same bat, that means you're hitting everything in the barrel.
It means he's very good at putting the barrel on the ball. That's what I was going to say. That's why he's Babe Ruth, and the rest of us are just not.
Exactly, precisely why. I know that, I would go maybe a few days with the same bat, and it would get cracked easily. Just one mishit ball, and that was it.
Right.
It did finally.
It did finally crack. Right, there it is.
Yeah.
Lindsay, can I have the bat back?
No.
Please, Lindsay.
I'm really enjoying this, but yeah, you can have that.
I mean, I do understand. It's just that, guys, this is huge to me. I mean, talking about home runs, I dream about hitting home runs in the big leagues, and to be holding, Babe Ruth's, the bat that he used in the season that we hit 60, that is just insane to me. And I have it right here in my hands. That's amazing.
Babe Ruth, they refer to something that's oversized, like the number of home runs or an appetite or whatever it may be, as a Ruthian. I mean, the guy's name has become this adjective.
Yes,
that's
true.
how impressive the guy is.
Oh, this is unbelievable.
Tom Shieber, etymologist.
Yeah, that's excellent. That was excellent.
Well, so one thing I think would be fun to talk about is the fact that he broke the single-season home run record 4 times in his career. So in 1927, he broke his own record, which he had set in 1921, which was 59 homers. And then the year before, he had hit 54, so 1921 was a broken record.
He's breaking his own record.
over and over.
Pushing the envelope, yeah.
Yeah, and it gets you back all the way to 1919, when he was still with the Red Sox, and actually still pitching a bit. There's a very sort of Ohtani moment there where he was making the transition to outfielder, and he hit 29 home runs in 1919 for the Red Sox. But that was the first time he'd ever broken the single-season home run record. And the question is, well, whose record did he break? And you have to go all the way back to 1884 for that. And it's a weird story. In 1884, the Chicago White Stockings, which are now called the Cubs, the White Sox in the American League took the old name, okay? But the Chicago White Stockings were the National League club. And they had been playing in a ballpark called Lakefront Park from 1878 to 1884. Tiny ballpark. Down the left field line, it was 180 feet to the line. And it's 196 straight down the right field line.
Ground rule double.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, to Fenway, it's 300, 310 to the Green Monster. Imagine it's only 180 to the Green Monster.
Yeah, it's like almost, got to cut that in half almost, you know?
Yeah. So what they did is for the first few seasons from 1878 until 1883, even back then, there was a dead ball. People weren't hitting it as far, but that was really nothing, right? So they said, you know what? It's a ground rule double. If it goes over those short porches, it's going to be a ground rule, because they knew it was ridiculous, right? But for the last season at the park, before they moved to a new ballpark, they said, you know what the heck?
Let's go back.
Go back to, it's a home run. So, the top home run, the top 4 home run hitters were all with the White Stockings. They hit almost 4 times as many home runs as the next team. And one guy on the team, as you might expect, had the single season home run record. And that's a guy named Ned Williamson, who had 27 homers in 1884. The record had been set the year before, was like 14. He almost doubled the record. So special ground rules kind of helped, but that's what happened.
Talk about a hitter's ballpark.
Right.
But so wait a minute. I'm going to fast forward here to 61 when they're talking about putting an asterisk after Roger Maris's name for not hitting it in the same number of games, but that guy didn't get one for hitting them all out over a 180-foot fence?
Well, that's an excellent point. And when you really think about it, and we have a whole exhibit about this, Lindsay, called One for the Books. It's all about baseball records. And really the theme of that exhibit is, you know what, there's kind of an asterisk behind almost every record. Because you need to know more information. And it's a really good point. So let's talk about, and I want to talk about that, let's talk about these 2 objects here. This is the bat that Roger Maris used to hit the 61st home run to break this record.
And they're standing up, waiting to see if Maris is going to hit number 61. Here's the windup. Fastball hit deep to right. This could be it. Way back there. Holy cow, it's 61 for Maris.
So cool.
That's
Talk about
Roger
holding, epic bats.
Yeah.
This is it right here.
He's going to attempt to come back tomorrow.
I'm ready. Remember I told you I was trying to get the power from all these artifacts? Well, this is the type of power I want right here. Roger Maris breaking Babe Ruth's iconic record, and this is the bat. That's incredible that I had it in my hands right now.
But as Lindsay mentioned,
No? Just like you did last time? Okay, fine, I'll share. Go ahead.
as Lindsay mentioned, as Roger was approaching 60 home runs, there was a bit of a quibble here because they were thinking, well, you know what, Roger Maris's, the 1961 season, the Yankees are going to play 162 games. And when Ruth was playing in 1927, that was a 154-game schedule. So that's not fair. So he has to break the record in the first 154 games in 1961. And if he doesn't, then the idea was, well, there should be some sort of asterisk or some sort of note saying, well, he did it, but not in the same number of games, right? The problem with this is that when Babe Ruth broke his record,
Please.
broke the record of 29 homers. So let's see, Ruth in 1919 hit 29 home runs, right? And he did so in a 140-game schedule, but nobody made a stink about the fact that when Ned Williamson hit his home run record, it was in like a 112-game schedule. It's the same scenario, but nobody said anything about Ruth having more games to play. So it really doesn't really measure up. And the bottom line is there's all sorts of footnotes. Even now, if you're playing in Fenway, you have a better advantage to hit a lot of doubles off the wall, right?
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. Like now we have all those advanced metrics where you have the park adjusted, like WRC plus, OPS plus, and you're like, okay, maybe if we put these records into context, and we could go and put the park adjusted, maybe even baseball adjusted, because the baseballs weren't the same.
Colorado, right?
Colorado, all that stuff. It's just interesting. So I think, how deep down the rabbit hole do you want to go? It'll drive you crazy, right?
We go very deep down
Has
that rabbit
someone
hole.
done park adjusted for the 180-foot fence in Chicago?
I don't know.
I would like to see that.
Exactly, that's so interesting.
Yes, I'm not sure there's a number that high to adjust for that, but yeah, I mean, it would make sense. Now, you've got the bat that Roger used to hit the 61st home run. This is the very ball that went over the right field fence at Yankee Stadium for number 61. Why don't you give that
All right,
to
this
Lindsay?
is number 61, Lindsay.
Hold the ball. I
Okay,
won't lose it.
fine, I'll share
Just
with you.
like a month, not even a month before Maris hit that ball for the record-breaking homer, a businessman actually a restaurateur out in California made an announcement. He said, I will pay $5,000 to anyone who catches Maris's 61st home run, assuming he gets there, which wasn't clear at the time.
Wow.
And once I pay for it, I will give that ball to Maris. So he was very upfront about what he was going to do. So a guy named Sal Durante caught the ball, got his picture taken with Maris and something, and then got $5,000, which is like about $45,000 now.
That's pretty good. Not
good
bad.
deal.
It's a pretty good payday. He wasn't even going to go to the game. Durante wasn't even going to go to the game. He just got talked into going to a ball game at the last second. And he was in the right place at the right time.
It's usually how it happens. This one, even in 61, has the lower
Yeah,
seams.
I was just looking at it and now feeling it. Yeah, certainly a lot flatter than the balls that we have today. Look, I don't even know how you're going to top this. I mean, this is incredible. I got Babe Ruth bat, Roger Maris record-breaking bat. This might be it for me. Can it get any better, really? Can it get any better?
I'll try and top it. You know what's really awesome about the 1927 season, where Babe Ruth hit 60 home runs, almost half of them with that bat, is that final home run happened on September 30th, 1927, 60th homer, against the Washington Senators. And that was also the final game ever played by Walter Johnson. You know Walter Johnson?
The big train.
Big Train, great nickname, right?
Awesome nickname.
And what about you? You have a good nickname?
Lowe's, not even close to Big Train. Big Train is epic.
Yeah, they need to work on your name.
Mine are trivial.
I got stuck with Boo Boo.
Trivial.
Yeah,
Big Train.
big train.
Yeah, so he was nicknamed Big Train because at the time that he's pitching, at its peak, there was nothing faster or more powerful than a locomotive.
That's what you want to be called if you're on the mound. Yeah,
Right.
of course.
So he was the first guy to get 3,000 strikeouts as a pitcher. First one in Major League history. And that didn't happen again until over 50 years later, in 1974, when Bob Gibson got his 3,000 strikeouts. So Johnson in 1923, 51 years later,
How about that?
Bob Gibson.
Amazing.
And now you get 3,000 strikeouts in a good season, right? I mean, it happens all the time.
If you're lucky, you get 3,000 in like a week, you know?
Right.
That's unbelievable because, I mean, he was the first one that was part of that 3,000 strikeout club, but he was the only one for 50 years in that very elite
It was
level.
very elite if you're the only one in it for over half a century, right?
So that's why he's called the Big Train.
Very much.
If you're interested in the people and places and artifacts featured in this episode, go to baseballhall.org, where you can plan your visit to the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown, New York, and discover your own connections to the game. Thanks for watching. For more incredible stories, check out our Hall of Fame Connection series. And don't forget to subscribe. Placada!